In Arizona State's first road game of the season, the Sun Devils fall short to Cal 24-21. ASU moves to 0-2 in Pac-12 play, 1-4 on the year. They're on a 4-game losing skid. Nick Borgia, Devil's Digest, alongside our publisher, Hode Urbino. And Hode, this game really was within reach for ASU. I mean, everyone was questioning how are they going to perform on the road. They did just fine, and I know this is an exaggeration at times, but this game really did come down to two different plays that could have went the other way and made this game different.
Yeah, absolutely, Nick. I mean, we predicted this to be a close game, and sure enough, it was. I think that when you look to bounce back from what was up until today a 3-game losing streak, that if you had to go on the road, let alone the first time on the road, Cal is in a lot of ways what the doctor has ordered. When you look at the other road games that are waiting for ASU at Washington, at Utah, at UCLA, there's no comparison that this was going to be a more quote-unquote friendly environment for Arizona State to win. This is not a menacing stadium with a menacing crowd, and the close score, I think, really just makes it even more frustrating. What a golden opportunity Arizona State did miss, and we'll talk about that in a minute or so. But I just felt like in terms of handling the road elements, yes, ASU handled it very well. I think also we need to keep in perspective, this was, quote-unquote, only Berkeley. Not Salt Lake City, not Seattle, not even the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, but nonetheless, I think maybe from that standpoint, Arizona State did not let any road elements affect them. But quite frankly, there really weren't a lot of road elements to speak of.
All right, well, let's start by analyzing this ASU offense. I mean, it's been interesting to say the least so far this season. Trenton Bourguet today at starting quarterback had over 300 passing yards, no passing touchdowns, did have one crucial interception. But I think the point that we really need to talk about, Hode, is what's going on in the red zone. They had multiple red zone opportunities, only cashed in on 2 touchdowns. I think that's a point of concern.
Yeah, I think what happened really with Arizona State is just really shooting themselves in the foot time and time again in the red zone. The most egregious mistake, without even trying to be creative when calling it an egregious mistake, was the fact that ASU had 12 men on the field on a 4th and 1, where they were able to punch it in. Cam Scatterbo, the do-it-all running back for Arizona State, passing to Elijah Badger. Here's ASU thinking, okay, we're really into this game. Momentum can really shift onto our side. And then they get a 12-men on the field penalty. That's an absolute crushing blow. They did have to set up for a field goal. They'd have to set up for another field goal when they drove pretty deep. I think they were on the 6-yard line of Cal. Another penalty. This time, a holding penalty pushes them back, and they have to set up for the field goal. So thank goodness that Darren Longetto, which was a homecoming for him, the Cal transfer, was able to capitalize on each and every field goal and really keep this game with arm's reach. And I think that was really maybe the mantra of this game. ASU was always a score, 2 scores away. And I think the fact that Arizona State only lost by 3 points really does enhance the point that I made earlier, that this was a ripe opportunity for Arizona State offense to capitalize on. But when we talk about the offense, Nick, and especially on the 4th down situations, we have to talk about the punting situation. And I mean, I'm happy that head coach Kenny Dillingham is very frustrated with Josh Carlson, the punter, right now, the transfer from New Mexico State. He averaged just over 36 yards a punt. I cannot imagine how many FBS schools, let alone Power 5 schools, have a punter that's right now worse than Josh Carlson. And his shortcomings are absolutely killing Arizona State. And this is not even close to being a hyperbolic statement. And you can go game after game. We're already 5 games into the season. I think at some point you can already make pretty detrimental conclusions on certain players and certain aspects of the team. And the punting situation right now for Arizona State is really bad. And I think part of it is part of the reason, that Kenny Dillingham goes for a lot of 4th down conversions is also the mistrust in the punting situation. ASU was 2 of 5 on 4th down conversions, but maybe if you do have a capable punter, you're not taking as many chances as Kenny Dillingham probably feels compelled that he has to. And you look at the average average field position. For Arizona State, it was their own 21. For Cal, it was their own 41. And Ken Dillingham said after the game, that's a 60-yard difference, which is worth at least 3 points, maybe even a touchdown. And today we're talking about a 24-21 loss. So that just shows you just the magnitude of this issue. Now, like I said, sometimes Kenny Dillingham does roll the dice a little too much, and maybe the situation I'm going to talk about right now wasn't maybe so much Josh Carlson, but ASU on a 4th and 2 was not able to convert and gave Cal the ball on ASU's 31-yard line, and that translated into a touchdown. Again, you look at the final score. That is definitely the difference in the game right there, along with and I think when you mentioned 2 plays, the second play being the 12 men on the field penalty, which nullified a touchdown for Arizona State. Which, if they score, maybe you bring this game into overtime. Who knows what happens after that? So for Arizona State, there's definitely some issues to fix on offense, but I think special teams is something that's, I think, really intertwined with going on 4th down, maybe just a little too much. But look, on this Cal defense, and I'll wrap up the conversation on the ASU offense here, they came as advertised. This is a tough defense, and I told you in our preview, Nick, this defense might be proved to be even stiffer than USC. And that may sound like a crazy statement, but trust me, look at Cam Scadaboo. He had 59 yards, I believe, on 24 carries. Do the math. That's like 2.5 yards per carry. I don't think Scadaboo ever worked this hard for 59 yards in a game. But again, he was able to be creative. He was able to convert some of those direct snaps. I think Elijah Badger may have had, unfortunately, in a loss for him, but his best game as a Sun Devil, over 200 all-purpose yards. Did a great job in kick returning too. But the offense just shot themselves in the foot just once, twice too many. And here they are with another loss.
So you bring up some good points about the punting, about ASU going for it on 4th down and not getting it. What does that do? It sets up the ASU defense in a lot of tough spots, which they've been dealing with all season long. So with all those things in mind, the punting, the 4th and 2s that they're not getting, or even a Trenton Bourguet interception that sets the defense up deep in their own half, they still had a respectable performance, and obviously wasn't enough to limit Cal, but you got to take your cap off and tip it to this ASU defense.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can say that ultimately they weren't able to make Cal a passing team. The quarterback, Sam Jackson, only had 130 yards passing. Yes, one of those, he was able to have a passing touchdown. But I think ASU did, for the most part, a pretty good job containing him in the pocket and making him a pocket passer, because that is not his forte. And I think, ironically, when you talk about penalties, there were 2 huge runs by Jackson, which were nullified by Cal penalties. That's one bullet the ASU defense was able to dodge. But the other bullet is called Jaden Ott, and let's even make it even in more broader terms, the Cal running game. They were averaging 216 yards coming into today. They had 190 yards on the ground. I think ASU did a pretty good job in the first half containing Ott, containing the ground attack, only because Cal only had 80 yards at halftime. But in the second half, it seems like the floodgates really opened. We talked about all season long the offense not doing enough to support the defense, and I think really we need to talk about the punting also not really supporting the defense. Like you said, Nick, one short field for Cal after another, and there's only so much you can ask from this defense. I think the fact they're able to limit Cal to 24 points really is quite the accomplishment. But we have to talk about that detrimental play on defense. I think it was the only penalty of the afternoon, Nick. But on 4th and 7, Sam Jackson, the quarterback for the Golden Bears, deep in Arizona State territory, is trying to make something, either get a first down, either get a touchdown. He scrambles for his life. He evades not 1 but 2 Arizona State sacks, throws basically a Hail Mary into the end zone, but a pass interference by ASU cornerback Ed Woods does give Cal possession and really just seals the game right there for the home team. So, it's just one of those things where, like I said, the defense really played their hearts out. Even though they didn't do such a great job in containing a very strong ground attack, I felt that overall, when you're just yielding 24 points on the road, your offense should do enough to win to really win a game like this. And look, I know none of the coaches at Arizona State are going to bring injuries up as an excuse, but just one injury after another after another. ASU was down to their third nickelback, R.J. Reagan. Jordan Clark did not play, did not even practice all week, and Mason Williams, his backup, was injured during the game. Linebacker Trey Brown, the heart and soul of this ASU defense, also injured. He was on crutches after the game. I just don't know how many more injuries this defense can sustain. This whole Arizona State team, for that matter, can sustain. But yeah, it definitely was a tough outing, for the defense. I think they really tried to do as much as they could, and I think for the most part they played a pretty clean game. But again, in such a close contest, when you have that one crucial penalty, that pass interference in the end zone, that also was just the difference between Arizona State finally getting into the win column versus having their fourth loss in a row.
It really was. So now they're on a 4-game losing streak. They have all those injuries to deal with. And next up, they got Colorado coming to Tempe. ASU at least gets to go back to the comfort of home. But Colorado and USC today, both teams scored more than 40 points in an absolute offensive shootout. Colorado, we're not going to be seeing any let-up in terms of opponent difficulty for ASU.
Yeah, I think Colorado is coming disappointed with only a 7-point loss to USC at home. It was a game that, not to get into too much analysis of another contest, but Colorado was really out of that game, I'd say, at least for over a half. But really, we're mounting quite the comeback in the fourth quarter and did come short. Look, I don't think it's any revelation over here that Colorado is not really exactly intimidated by Arizona State in Tempe next Saturday, just because the way they played at home against the number 8 team in the country. And with ASU, this is just so crucial to try and get a win before the bye week, so at least you don't have a loss marinating now instead of 1 week and an extra week. If you're Arizona State, you just really want something to hang your hat on just something positive right now. And yes, Kenny Dillingham is saying that the team is getting better, but it's not enough. It's not good enough, I guess I should say. And Arizona State ultimately just has to start showing wins with this improved play. And I don't know if Colorado is as ripe of an opportunity just like Cal was today, even on the road. But for Arizona State, it's some way somehow really trying to find a way to win. And when you just have all these injuries mounting, and you just have, I think, ultimately just the psyche of the team. You just really wonder, how much is one loss after another really affecting them? It's really going to be just another tough week in Tempe. Again, you can't stress enough how much this game was in hand for Arizona State to finally get off the snide, especially on the road, because Arizona State historically is not a good road team. Just really an opportunity wasted. We'll see if the lessons learned from this game can be implemented against Colorado, but not to look already ahead to that game. But that is going to be, in my eyes, a tougher game than it was today, maybe even a tougher game than it was against USC the week before.
All right, Hode. Well, thank you so much, as always, for your insight, for continuous coverage of this team. Keep it locked in at DevilsDigest.com. Drop a follow at Devils Digest on Twitter. For Hode Urbino, my name is Nick Borgia. We thank you so much. We will see you next time.